Hey, it's Birdman here again for Wheelchairs for Warriors, and with me now, I have one of the sitting board members, Seth Alford. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Rob. How you been, man?
Doing well. So you are a United States Marine, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and actually an officer, if I remember correctly what you just said.
Yeah, long title. I'm the Future Plans Intelligence Officer for Marine Corps Forces Pacific Command, which is a very long way of saying I stare at a large communist country all the time.
Yeah, so they're pretty prominent in the news as of late. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish they'd chill out. It would be nice.
Agreed. I'd like to have a better relationship with them. Anyway, so let's talk about Wheelchairs for Warriors, and you're on the board. How did it come up on your scope, and how did you get involved from the beginning?
So, it's one of those things where you've got these mutual friends of service, right? And so people that serve generally want to hang out with other people that serve, right? And you get in this sort of ecosystem of different individuals. And so a good friend of mine, Crystal Larimore, who is the executive director, she calls me and says, "Hey, I need your help. We're going to do this, this, and this." And I said, "Okay, let's go." So one of the things that we really needed support for, just like every 501c3, is you got to get the initial leadership in place, right? You got to start bringing in people from other industries. When I'm not doing Marine Corps things, I'm a manager at a industrial construction company. So oil and gas, obviously being an extremely patriotic industry, a lot of veterans go that way, but regardless, they are very pro-America. Kind of bringing in some of those folks from both the leadership aspect as well as you need dollars. It takes dollars to literally make a wheelchair.
It does.
So that was one of the things that we need. You need good-hearted people from philanthropic industries, and Crystal said, "Hey, we need you to start kind of leading the charge on some of these things." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." That's what we started doing.
Very good. So she brings you in. You start to get involved. What was your awareness of the need for specialized wheelchairs before Wheelchairs for Warriors?
I mean, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, right? So I've seen what happens when a man takes a left step instead of a right step.
Right.
Unfortunately, and you look at a lot of these, mostly young men at the time of whatever incident occurred. They're big, they're strong, they're 10 feet tall, they're bulletproof, right? Until they find out that they're not, or at least they're not IED proof, right? And so you take that guy that's used to being out and doing outdoor things, whether it's hunting, fishing, surfing, scuba diving, just walking, not on a paved surface, right? And that gets taken away from them, and that's a part of your identity. And so, one of the things these specialized wheelchairs do, people think of it as a mobility aspect, but it's not. It's an identity aspect.
Yeah.
It brings them back to who they are, and it just, it's, again, you go from being 10 foot tall to I can't get out of off of this sidewalk without assistance. That's an unfortunate place to be.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and that's key there, what you're saying about it's not really a mobility issue, it's an identity issue. It's as people get older and you sort of know you're going to be not able to move around as much or things like that, you see some of that understood in the older generations. But even then, it's still part of their identity. They can't just get up and go get something for themselves. So to have it happen at a much younger age is a lot more impactful. And giving them the ability to move around is something that's important. Yes?
Absolutely. And you look at just different things. And we've done a much better job in the last generation of warfighters about understanding there's a mental health aspect. There's a physical cost, there's a mental cost, there's an emotional cost that comes with warfare, right? People can understand the basic physical cost, right? Like, if you take the unfortunate, piece of shrapnel or 7.62 round, right, it's going to leave a scar. People get that.
Right.
but they don't necessarily understand. In the past, we didn't necessarily understand the emotional scarring that takes place. And, just like you would need physical therapy if, you broke your arm or something, whether it be in a combat situation or falling off a ladder, you've got to have, quote unquote, PT, but mental therapy, right? Like we've got to allow these individuals, one, the respect that they're due, and two, the ability to get out. Like, you know what sunshine does for a person? You know what fresh air does for a person? And especially if that person is, not at their peak emotional or mental standard that they should be. Like, it literally changes a week, a day, a month to be able to get out and experience what our bodies are naturally supposed to be ingesting, which is, open skies and fresh air.
Yeah, great point. Great point. So as you get involved with the fundraisers and things that are going on for Wheelchairs for Warriors, what's some of the most impactful things that you've seen come out of both the fundraisers and just the awareness to people? Have you seen it help people understand things better?
Yeah, absolutely. And people kind of don't want to look at the ugliness of the process post deployment, right? Like,
right.
They're like, well, we have a VA. I pay taxes, right? And at the same time, you say, how efficient do you think the VA is? They're like, I don't know. It's the government. It should be efficient. I'm like, okay. why don't you go to the DPS and get me a new driver's license? In an hour.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Well, guess what happens when a piece of your wheelchair breaks, and they're like, I would like to get my wheelchair replaced. The VA is like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. We should totally do that for you. How about you come and make an appointment? We've got an opening in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, I need this bolt now.
Right.
My mode of transportation is disabled now, not disabled in 6 weeks. And so that's a situation where, we shouldn't have to have organizations like Wheelchair for Warriors. They should not exist.
Yeah.
But they have to exist because we've got to take care of these men and women that we've made these promises to. Many of them, I have literally seen what happens. We owe it to them, and so that's where we can step in and we can be the filler spot, right? Or, the VA's like, well, we gave you a wheelchair. But yes, this wheelchair allows me to get in and around my home or my apartment. It doesn't allow me to go, get out and watch my child play t-ball.
Or it's a wheelchair that was designed to take people from a bed in a hospital out to the door where they stand up and walk to their car.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so, one of the things that you see is you open the eyes of these people, and they're like, and you'll see a lot of them get, different reactions, anger, they're mad at the system, or they're ashamed that they didn't know that this took place, or, things like that. Then those are the negative emotions that you get to see. The positive emotions you get to see is you get to watch them whenever they see a wheelchair that they partially funded get given to a van, and the big old poop-eating grin on that man's face when he knows that I can now go watch my little girl play soccer,
Yes.
I can now go spend time with my buddies. They don't have to just come over to my house. I can actually go to their house, which may not be perfectly designed for wheelchair access, but I can hang out and shoot the bull while the crawfish boils in the front yard or the backyard, and that's what comes back to them as a result. It's just that's the biggest joy that you get to see other people experience.
You bet. Well, hey, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I know you've got a lot of things going on. Is there anything else you want to say to the people out there that are listening about Wheelchairs for Warriors that you want them to know?
Yeah, Urban, thank you, one, for the opportunity. Two, wheelchairsforwarriors.com. Like I said, we don't ask people to buy a wheelchair. We ask them to contribute to a portion of the process, right? And it requires money to make wheelchairs move, both literally and figuratively. So wheelchairsforwarriors.com. We'd love to accept, and we're very appreciative of any donation that can be given.
Awesome. Once again, that's Seth Alford with the Wheelchairs for Warriors board. Thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, have a great one, man.
And also, thank you for your service.
Thank you for paying taxes.